I'm very fortunate to have a number of friends, subscribers who I enjoy almost daily communication with. I write and receive responses, and I enjoy that because I still like to write letters. Well, it's a dying art. People don't write letters anymore. People don't even write messages anymore. Now I look at, and instead of saying what the F, it has WTF. So you can swear without cussing now. Nothing is real. So a number of years ago now, believe it or not, a number of years ago, I made a video. You'll find it in there somewhere. It shouldn't be hard to find. We've only made and posted 19,000 videos, approximately. So I mentioned in the video that I felt that there was some concern over artificial intelligence, that in fact it was going almost in the direction that the film writers had said it would go. So you had movies called I, Robot, stuff like that. You have the one where it was in an age where if a family, in the case of the movie, in the family, they had lost their child in a coma. So the child had suffered some kind of a brain injury, aneurysm or something, and he'd gone into a coma. And he'd been in a coma for such a long time, long enough that they had really given up hope that he would ever return to them. I think the boy was maybe 8 or 9. So the plot was that they could go to, let's call it AI robots. They could go to a company and they could have a child robot, and the child would be so real as to be indistinguishable from a real child. Now, there was an initial trial period that the child robot that they were getting would be something that they were compatible with and could love. Now this all seemed so impossible, so science fiction at the time. Now, here's what happened with that family. There came a point after the approval period that they believed that they could love this little boy. And of course, he was the perfect child actor, and what's not to love about this kid? So blonde, blue eyes, the perfect kid. So they went through a period called imprinting, and onto the child robot was imprinted them as parents. So in this artificial intelligence within this child robot that was indistinguishable from the human, it was imprinted upon the kid. It wasn't a kid anymore. It was the kid. And the woman loved this kid, this robot. Well, the robot didn't know that they were not his parents. He didn't know that he was a robot. He didn't know. Now, there have been several movies like this. So what happened was, eventually, was that the boy that was in the coma came to, and then he came back into the family, and suddenly they got their own kid back again. And now that boy, the real boy, talking about Pinocchio, the real boy was unable to adjust to this perfect robot child. And eventually what happens is that the woman cannot have, the only way to attend to this is to have the robot destroyed. And she cannot face that because she has come to love the robot as if it is a child, which, as I say, is indistinguishable from the real thing. So she takes it and she sets the child free. The child doesn't understand, the robot doesn't understand, and then there are several adventures, and it ends far into the future when a future alien race find this child robot and reactivate it, and then they're interested in terms of an experiment. So what they do is, for I think a day, they create from his memories, they create a perfect three-dimensional hologram of the mother that the child, the robot, loved so much. And they give him a day with the mother, and then the mother disappears, and that's as far as I remember. So, impossible, isn't it? But now we are in a situation where nothing is real, and really nothing is real. We really can't tell the difference now between a hologram, an invented three-dimensional looking image of a real person. So if you think that I'm talking through the wrong kind of smoking, I'm not. You might want to look at the ABBA. Now the ABBA were obviously quite a handsome couple of guys and beautiful couple of women who some years ago, I think it might be as long as 20 or 30 years ago, that they had a string of hits from, I think, Sweden or Denmark, and they were enormously successful. But of course now they're 20 or 30 years on. They're not the beautiful young people that they were. And they decided that they'd make a comeback, and for the benefit of a loving audience of fans, they created a holographic concert where they appeared as they used to be. And people were able to attend a concert where they watched ABBA in 3 dimensions. A little bit, if you remember Star Wars, when Princess Leia was stored in R2-D2 and given pressing the right button, she would come out and be a hologram giving her message of pleading for help. So that was a far indication of what was to come. This is happening now. Now why would we? Well, isn't that wonderful? Surely it will satisfy my friend Roger, who absolutely adores everything about the Beatles and sends me all kinds of stuff about what they're doing now. And in a particular video that he sent to me, this man who runs some kind of channel which is all to do with the Beatles, they've now had the news that Yoko, the widow of John Lennon, has come forward and said, John, I've just found this song. It wasn't complete, but very, very nearly, and it's of John and a song that he created. Well, the Beatles were very, very happy with this and brought it in, and with artificial intelligence, they've been able to put the thing together as it probably would have been had John Lennon taken it. So yes, this is all wonderful. It's all wonderful stuff. But of course there's a downside to it, because now there's no such thing as offering a video as proof that you did something. In the past, we were pilloried for the crime of helping the poor without a license. We didn't do the paperwork, and we went through 3 years of hell getting the paperwork organized. It's still ongoing. We are a registered charity, so all of that is over, but soliciting in the Philippines, soliciting for funding is against the law until we have that permit. So now that's an ongoing thing, and all of our funding on our mission work comes from abroad. So back to what could possibly be wrong. It's that whole thing, isn't it? This is what's happening, and what could possibly go wrong? One of the things that has been put forward as being an alarming situation is that let's assume that you are perhaps a middle-aged couple, or certainly a couple to have a grown-up, because middle age isn't middle age anymore, is it? It's been rolled back a little. Well, let's say that you have a child who has gone his or her own way and are living some distance away. Let's say they're living 3,000 or 4,000 miles away. Enough that they have to communicate to you by texting, by video calls, and all that is available. You can now go on a video call, as many people who are enjoying a long distance relationship, they can go and they can have a real conversation with the person that they are enamored with. Now, I don't speak against this because actually a very good friend of mine and an everyday correspondent via texting, of course, met his wife that way. They were watching comments on our videos, and they looked at each other's videos, and then one texted the other in a comment, answered a comment and said, I liked what you said, and from there it very quickly evolved into that they started to have feelings for each other, they started to watch each other on video, and they formed a bond. And then eventually they met, and now they live very, very happily in the Philippines. So, I know that great things can happen. But what can also happen is that it has taken away from personal relationships the assumption that the person that you are hoping will be your partner, or in any kind of interaction, is sincere. Is sincere, is what they appear to be, and that they are ethical and telling the truth. And there you are, you're talking to this person. Now, there's several different ways that it can happen which are wrong. You can have a filter. Someone wrote to me a little while ago and said, take the filter off, because my wife had done a TikTok and Beth had put the picture on. So in the picture, of course, I looked almost good looking. So he said, Terence, take the picture, take the filter off, will you? It was one time, okay. I don't mind looking almost good looking for at least one. Bear with me for that, please. Cut me a break, eh? With a face like this, cut me a break. So, how that could work against you when you're seeking to have an honest relationship is that this beauty, this handsome guy that you are falling in love with, is not how they really are. Now, this has always been the case in online dating. I personally went to China to meet an awesome looking woman, and when I got there, the awesome looking photograph, this is a number of years ago, it proved to be an older picture when she was every bit as cute as the picture showed, but that wasn't the case any longer. So that's one way that it can work. The other is that you can go on your Facebook page and you can post pictures of yourself that have been enhanced. So now your eyes are made up and your cheeks are highlighted, and you've got the sallow look that gives you the high cheekbones, and everything about you is as perfect as it could be. But it's not true. So there's that. There's something else that is disturbing as well, is that the movie about the robot has come to pass. Now there are people, look on YouTube and you find interview of a purchaser of a companion robot, a sex robot, and they are made, these robots are made of soft, malleable, almost skin-like material. They have a limited vocabulary and AI content, so there's an interaction of sorts, and they're made in the image of one of the most beautiful Hollywood stars. I think it was it Theron, Charlize or Charlize Theron, something like that. The model, it's absolutely beautiful. And there is a video of a man who has bought one of these, and he's sitting on the couch with this beautiful robot and his wife is along for the ride as well. So there's one thing. The other thing is that now, especially it seems in America, when I was back there over 10 years ago, the saying was, whenever I looked at dating sites, the saying was, nice guys finish last. And so now those nice guys are struggling to get a date. And if you go on and you look at Kevin Samuels, he's passed now, but his videos are still up, and he makes the point with many women who come on and talk to him in interview, and they tell him what they expect, and he tells them what the reality is. I ask them, how many children do you have? 3. Oh, who divorced the husband then? Are these by the same person? And he makes them realize what the reality is. One woman who was certainly not the most beautiful, he said, Beyonce is a 10. What do you think? How would you grade yourself, 1 to 10? And the woman, without hesitation, graded herself a 10, like Beyonce, who is made up to the 9s whenever she's seen in public. And she was beautiful to start with, so imagine what that means. So you have this situation now. And what is happening, moving on, you have Chat GPT or something. It is an AI channel. It's an AI that is run for people who want to interact with AI. And one of the things that you can do in this is that you can have a subscription to this channel, and you can invent an avatar. What they used to call an avatar, you could make this little cartoon up, and instead of putting your own likeness, you could put this little funny cartoon which was appealing to people, and it was. Now it's moved on. Now you can invent, craft, customize, if you're a man, a stunningly beautiful partner who is no more real than any of the other stuff that is coming from AI. So now people are able to communicate to these AI people who are gifted with state-of-the-art artificial intelligence and are able to hold creative, can I say, emotional exchanges with the person. I'm sure that there are those who will take it even further, and they'll be having phone sex with these people. It belongs to you with your subscription of, I don't know, $10 or $15 a month. You can have this person, this avatar, this AI invention of your own mind.